Today we are learning 5 stitches, all in the Trellis Stitch family. First up, I want to note that there is some debate on what Trellis Stitch is in the embroidery world. In this sampler, I've made up my own rule to help with clarity as we move forward on the numerous other designs that utilize trellis as a base. Trellis stitch on this sampler means 2 layers of intersecting threads, crossing perpendicularly to form right angles with squares or rectangles in between. In our next tutorial, we'll be covering the lattice stitch family, which is a similar stitch style and another name that I've hijacked for clarity in this sampler. All that to say, please don't be confused if you look up trellis stitch and find something that looks a little more like this. And that is trellis stitch. Now that we've covered the basic trellis stitch, let's explore 4 variations, starting with woven trellis. As the name implies, this is the exact same pattern, but with those crossing threads woven through the ground threads instead of just laying on top. Offset the weave pattern of each new stitch for the most original form. And that's our woven trellis. Our next variation is the first one that really falls into the laid work category, trellis couching. Once you've got your basic trellis stitch laid down, you'll start adding short couching stitches over the cross points. You can do this in either direction. Traditionally, they should all be facing the same direction, but as always, tradition only goes so far. So you can also skip every other cross point, alternate direction on each row. Dream big, have fun with it. And that is trellis couching. Now let's try some layered trellis couching. The layer in the title is a 3rd set of stitches, so start with that basic trellis stitch and then add more straight stitches on a diagonal, laying on top of those cross points. These diagonal stitches will really highlight the neatness of the trellis underneath. If you don't have pretty perfect squares in between the threads, it'll be difficult to get parallel diagonals that still go over each cross point. Of course, we need to finish it off with some couching, so those short disconnected stitches are now covering the cross point of all 3 threads and facing in the only remaining direction available. And this is layered trellis couching. Last up, we have some double trellis couching. Yep, we'll just be doubling up on the trellis. Follow the same steps we've done, adding the 2 layers of the base trellis, then layering evenly spaced diagonal stitches on top. To turn it into a double trellis, we'll now add diagonal stitches in the opposite direction, making neat diamonds on top of the squares. Finally, we need to add those couching stitches, but the cross points we've been using up until now already have 4 threads going in all possible directions. So we're just going to couch over the cross points of the top trellis, placing those short stitches in the middle of the squares. Again, you could couch in either direction here, and of course, you could always mix it up by alternating directions with those couching stitches on each row. And that is our double trellis couching. As usual, we want to finish off those sections with a nice and neat outline, which I've done with backstitch this time. And we're done!